I'm Gwen Preston of Resource Maven. We're here at the Metals Investor Forum in Vancouver in November, and I am joined by Darin Labrenz of Pure Gold. Thanks for coming on today.
Thanks, Gwen. Appreciate it.
So Pure Gold's obviously at a really exciting stage. You're building a high-grade gold mine. So that in itself, we were just talking before we started filming about how you must have pretty busy days because that's juggling a lot of balls. I did have a subscriber write to me the other day and wonder why Pure Gold's share price isn't more exciting. And I think that's kind of a good starting point to reasons why that may be changing going forward from here. So I think one of those is the fact that you're in construction. And so that often entails a valuation change for companies once they reach that production point.
Yeah, no, that's a really good point, and we're obviously frustrated by the fact we've been range bound as well, but it is a really exciting time for us, and I think there's a number of different opportunities for re-rating as we move forward. And when you think about the valuation curve, if you will, and how it's often a very slow and boring period as you move into construction and permitting, we're really unique in that we're able to obviously leverage significant infrastructure. We are fully funded, so we're not going out to raise the capital to build a mine. We are construction today, and it is a 13-month execution schedule.
Right, it's nice and
it's
tight.
Very short.
Yeah.
And over financing as we did, it gives us the ability to continue to explore. And so we've got 2 drill rigs currently active on the project, and so there is the opportunity for discovery and news flow as we move forward into first gold pour in Q4 next year.
So yeah, moving into first gold pour, that, like I say, often changes the market's understanding of what the value is, and fair enough. Producing money instead of just spending it, that's like actually a big change. But yeah, let's talk about the exploration side. In your talk here today, you talked a bit about, you looked back on the history of Red Lake and transformative discoveries that have transformed mines there and created immense value quite quickly. That's the potential this kind of high-grade camp has. And you guys have all kinds of areas where that's sort of already underway or, possible in the near term.
Yeah, I'll relate to personal experience. So I worked in the Red Lake mine, Campbell mine at the time for Placer Dome in the mid-1990s, and it was about that time that the other side of the deposit went on strike, and there was I was chief geologist for Campbell, and I'm walking around talking to the team, and one of the geologists, I remember this vividly, he was buying stock in Goldcorp.
Oh, interesting.
And I was saying to him, what are you doing? It's on strike. They weren't really making a lot of money, produced 50,000 ounces last year. Why? He says, I believe in this asset. And so at the time, they were drilling. And so during that 4-year strike, they were drilling and they discovered the high-grade zone.
Right.
And that really was transformative. And so what we saw was Goldcorp go from 50,000 ounces to more than 500,000 ounces, cash costs of less than $50 an ounce. And that was the birth of Goldcorp.
Right.
And so that's the kind of real excitement that can come from these types of deposits. And we certainly think that kind of potential exists.
Absolutely. I mean, you have certain parts of your current resource that have that kind of have that kind of opportunity within them, and then all kinds of blue sky that you're testing right now.
Yeah, that's right. So when you look at our deposit, if you will, it's a large deposit. There's 2.5 million ounces of historical production. We've got 2.5 million ounces in resource today. So we're already talking about a 5 million ounce system that spans 7 kilometers. It's open to depth. We've defined it down to 1.2 kilometers, which really is only about half of the Red Lake mine, and we've shown that it's open over that entire 7-kilometer extent. To talk about high grade in particular, the 8 zone it forms part of our reserves, and it sits at a depth of about 1.2 kilometers.
Right.
It was discovered in 1969 initially, and that was well in advance of the high grade zone of the Red Lake mine. But now when we look back, we can see that it shares the same geologic environment, and so it's really quite exciting. It demonstrates that potential on our property.
The other thing, just to take a step back and look at the district a bit, I think the other thing that will influence Pure Gold's share price is the fact that there's a district play going on, which is that Newmont Goldcorp is selling its Red Lake operations. That's been a very public process, which is interesting in itself, and that process is supposed to supposedly come to a deal, perhaps even by the end of this year. How do you think that will influence Pure Gold going forward?
Yeah, I think that's really interesting. It's not often you have a public process happening in your backyard, and you think about the Red Lake mine. It's about 20 kilometers along a paved highway away from our asset. I think the first thing that it'll do, should it transact, is it'll establish a value for ounces in the camp. When you look at the Newmont Goldcorp asset, it's got about 2 million ounces in reserves today at 7 grams per ton.
Okay.
There's a large resource there. I think it's 5 million ounces at around 15 grams. Okay. But they're mining, at a depth of 2.6 kilometers. And so I don't know what it's going to transact for, but I do believe that it should play favorably with respect to our valuation. With a reserve that's 1 million ounces at 9 grams, opportunities for growth, and starting at surface. So that's one aspect, and then obviously, it presents an opportunity for district consolidation.
Of course.
Anytime you've got a new party that comes in, new focus, obviously they're going to be focused on the asset that they acquire, but they're going to be looking around and saying what else is in the camp, and I think that's interesting dynamic as well.
Yeah, for sure. I think that value for ounces thing is pretty interesting. Once there's a clear peg for what ounces are worth 2.3 kilometers down at a lower grade, that should have an influence for sure.
I would certainly think so.
Yeah, for sure. Well, it's exciting times. Good luck juggling all the balls that are involved in building a gold mine, and thank you so much for finding the time to come here today.
Thanks, Gwen. Really appreciate it.